Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Hogue K320A automatic knife. There used to be, and I say used to be, maybe it's still in production, the standard K320 was using the Able lock, and it was a manual knife. This is the A, or the automatic. There are a few different versions of these available right now. I will link them right down below. These are made in the United States. I do very much enjoy Hogue knives. They've got some models I really like and some that I'm but their manufacturing quality is very good, and they make knives in the United States, which is a big deal. So feel free to check this knife out and all its different forms right down in the description. Thank you so much to this gentleman right here. That's Mr_Garlic on Instagram, or at Gettysburg Sharpening Co. So I appreciate that. It's because of people like him that I'm able to bring you guys daily knife content. It's also because of my generous patrons. Thanks so much for supporting me. There's a link for Patreon right down below as well. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this guy. Overall length. People get mad at me. I 2 comments in this last month. Can you stop calling knives guys? Can you stop calling them guys? No. Let's go ahead and get a measurement. Overall length is coming in at 8 inches overall. Blade length is coming in at 3.5 inches. Cutting edge is coming in at, it's like 2.9. It's hard to get rid of personal quirks, guys. You just can't. It's hard to erase them. I just said it again. Yeah, no, I'd rather just, because otherwise the flow is like not organic and I'm constantly catching myself. And then I have to take time in the middle of the review to explain why I stumbled around. No. Nope, knives are guys in this on this channel. Sorry, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Like the way I said like all the time, like, or I click my tongue as I'm transitioning from one sentence to the next, right? Yeah, If you've been watching for 3 years, you probably don't even hear it anymore. If you're new, sorry. Here it is up against the Rat 1 and the Rat 2. So it's obviously a full-size knife. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2. And Para 3, once again, close to the size of the PM2, a little longer than the Para 3. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, another Hogue knife. Very similar in overall size to the Ritter Hogue. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of similarities in the shape here. It's got a little taller blade, and it's got a forward choil, but I found that there are enough similarities between these two. Ergonomically, this is about the same level as comfort, with an extra option to choke up, right? Around the same size as the Ritter Hogue. Definitely larger than the bug out there. So anyways, let's go ahead and measure carry profile up against the Para 3. Wow, it's thicker than you might think in some areas. If you go down to the back end, obviously it tapers. For whatever reason, it's much thicker up here than it is at the bottom, but it's really not that big of a deal. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. You can see here in the pocket, it's going to be shorter this way, right? Horizontally, and vertically. Or the height of the blade at its peak is still, it's almost exactly the same height as the PM2. Yeah, it's pretty tall. Taller than I initially expected. A little bit longer than the Para 3, not quite as long as the PM2. So there you go. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. Boy, yeah, let's talk about this. If you've noticed, this thing has almost flown out of my hands 3 times. This has a very powerful firing action, a shockingly, I don't know what it is about this. This is a hard firing auto. I was really shocked by that. It really comes flying out of there, and that's one of them. There's a few things I'm going to nitpick here, but that's one of the more redeeming qualities here of this knife is they did not skip out on the beefiness of what I am assuming is the coil spring inside the pivot. Wow, it fires hard. And because the scales are plastic or a polymer, it makes a very loud clack, right? Thwack is what I should say. That's the official knife way to say it. Anyways, what we're doing, hardware check. Let's get out my tools. as per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the description in the section that says my tools. I think the pivot's a T10. Yep, T10. How are we on the body screws? Nope, those are going to be T8. I am almost certain. Let's just, I don't even need to attach it. There's your T8. Yes, so we have 3 body screws on each side, 4. Actually, there's one holding in this steel cartridge liner, which we'll take a look at here in a second. And then we have T10 on either side of the pivot. We also have T6 hardware for the pocket clip. So there's quite a bit of hardware. Most of it's a larger size fastener though. I'll take more pieces of hardware with a larger size than minimal body hardware and a smaller head size. So that's fine. Have a place to put your stuff. I recommend a magnet. That's the best way to keep all your hardware from rolling all over the place and being lost forever in the infinite sea of your carpet. But yeah, so we're good there. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness. I'm going to guess that's about 120 thousandths. It seems like Hogue likes that blade stock thickness. Okay, it's a little more. It says 123. It's probably 125 thousandths. The materials here, like I said, we're looking at a polymer handle. The blade steel on this guy is, I thought for sure, CPM 154. No, it's S30V. We have the third time, a polymer handle. And then on the inside here, I promised I'd let you take a look. Is this too bright? Sorry. Flashlight stuff. Okay. Yeah, can you see in there? There's a cartridge liner, steel cartridge liner, which is what that middle screw on the body is for. It's holding that in. I don't know. I'll say 3.75 to 4 ounces. Nope, more than that. A little bit more. 4.16. Not bad. You know, if you're big into ratios, maybe it'll bother you. It doesn't bother me. This is the size of knife that I like to carry, and it's on the lower end for weight, so I really don't care. All right, let's move into the main part of the review here. I don't think there's anything else I need to do. This is a very comfortable, very ergonomic, very straightforward knife. I really, really like the forward choil. I really like how comfortable the handles are. You can choke back in this thing, choke up in this thing. They did the pocket clip pretty well. I don't know what to think about these little air vents. You know what this makes me think of? You know that little tiny back window on a Mustang? And some people insist on putting those little covers on them, right? To match the scoop cover on the side of the car. Why? But okay, hey, listen, if you do that, that's fine. I'm equally confused by the necessity of these. What is this for, right? But that aside, and you know what it's probably for? I'm dumb. It's for traction when you're pulling the knife from your pocket, right? Because it's going to catch your finger. Okay, all right, fine. The Mustang thing I still don't get. See that? Jeez! Do not open it with your non-dominant hand holding it like this. Oh, gosh. It's going to go flying, right? But anyways, yeah, the pocket clip is good. It doesn't have an obtrusive bill, so you're really not feeling it. This is a comfortable knife. Let's get this out of the way. By now, a lot of you have gotten to look up the price, and you're seeing that the least expensive version of the K320A, the automatic version of this, is $144. 10 bucks less for the manual version, which I don't think is available right now. We should have had aluminum. I would have preferred aluminum on this style knife, or G10 scales. The polymer just feels cheap. And here's why. It's not because the whole thing feels cheap and that's just the cherry on top. No, the rest of the knife feels really good. And those scales really bring it, like the cheapness of the scales are so heavily emphasized because the freaking firing power on this thing and the fit and finish on it is so good, right? So you feel like, wow, and then you're left thinking, why are the scales so cheap feeling, right? Listen, are they durable enough? Oh, definitely. If it's a question of durability, don't worry about that, right? If you don't care that they feel, you just want to make sure that they're going to perform. Yeah, this stuff is strong. It's going to be durable. It's also going to be, like, I think, chemical resistant and heat and cold resistant and all that stuff, right? Very flexible, very impact resistant, right? You're not going to break the scales unless you take them off and snap them yourself. But I think aluminum would have really, really done the trick here. And I couldn't imagine it would be that much more expensive on something like this. But just for the price, it's like I always say, I don't want this knife is $144, right? I don't want to end this review going, it really should have been less. It should have been like $123.42. No, I want it to stay keep the same price, or perhaps go up a little bit, right? And give us aluminum, something that feels better, right? The auto market, thanks to Microtech and ProTech mainly, and now joined by Guardian Tactical and Heretic knives here within the last few years, have made us all enjoy the combination of steel parts and aluminum in our automatic knives. So stuff like this, it really is just kind of yucky. Benchmade also is a company who has made us feel really good about G10 and or aluminum on automatic knives, and has also made us kind of all go yuck simultaneously with the injection mold plastic or polymer or FRN materials on stuff like that. Those are materials that many of us do not like to see on knives that, I mean, I'm going to say 100. I don't like that material at all on anything that's over $50, truthfully. I can understand, like, I can kind of choke it down because I'm like, yeah, I'm being really, really biased here, you know, because I'm like, G10 is so much more premium, when in reality it's hardly has any additional cost over this material. It just feels better, right? Truthfully, the solidity of aluminum, right? That'd make it heavier. That'd make it like a 1/4 ounce heavier, maybe half an ounce. Oh no, right? But it's just, there's so much good here. Let's talk about it. So there's a safety. You can definitely lock it in the closed position if you want to. You can also lock it in the open position if you want to. Does it need that? I don't know. The button is not completely and totally recessed. It has its own little, you know, hole that it's sitting in, but it's raised enough. Maybe it might be a good idea. You know, maybe you set it down for the day. Obviously, keep it out of reach of children and people who don't know what the heck they're looking at. But, you know, it might be a good idea. If you're done with it for the day, set it down and lock it. That way, someone who picks it up and they're, you know, if they're kind of, you know, mushy in the head with stuff like this, and you don't want them throwing it across the room, right? Whenever I go home to my hometown, if I'm carrying an automatic knife, right, I always lock it wherever I set it. Because I don't want my mom, as unlikely as it is that she would find it wherever I put it and pick it up and try to deploy it. My nightmare is that she will do that and huck it across the room or accidentally cut it. Anybody, right? So, you know, yeah, obviously you don't need to go, well, you need to make sure it's safety first and keep it out of reach of, you know, the lesser informed people who might. What sort of accent was I transitioning from to? I get it. Yeah, obviously keep it out of reach, right? But let's not pretend that accidents don't happen. So, is it necessary to have the safety on there? I don't know. It's not really hurting anything. So yeah, sure. It's nice that it's there. We have a little bit of texturing going on here, and that's really just going to be for excess grip. It's fine, honestly. In fact, I think it's welcome. The scales are so smooth. I think it's very welcome. It does a good job without feeling like it's being too aggressive. In fact, all of the jimping is really in a nice place. This is a very, very comfortable knife, and it's something that I think a lot of people would enjoy using. If you went ahead and, you know, just choked down, if you don't care about the polymer scales, then yeah, go ahead, you know, but if you, say you do and you go ahead and you pick this up, I think after just 2 minutes of using this, you'd be like, yeah, this is pretty, I mean, you know, there's a lot of knives out there that take a similar form, and it's because this form works. So anyways, I like the texturing there. That's nice. They've got a little spot right there where the pocket clip can rest. And they did that so that there wasn't as aggressive. The texturing right in that spot wasn't so aggressive so that when you push the pocket clip over your pocket material, it doesn't fray it up as readily. It's neat. It creates a little bit of an eyesore, but whatever, right? I don't know that I really care that much. The blade is pretty nice. Not sure why there's a hole there. It's really just an aesthetic thing because it doesn't serve any functional purpose. The blade would otherwise look a little bit boring. Collaboration with Sig Sauer, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with their relationship with Hogue at this point. It says K320A, and it says Hogue USA CPM S30V, and I think there's some, there's a code. Is it a code? Okay. Doesn't need to have all that stuff all over the blade, but it's there, so okay. I'm going to guess that this is a Cerakote. In any case, it looks really, really good. S30V is still definitely a super steel. It's just, we think less of S30V now because of S35VN and S45VN. The truth is that the difference in performance between S30V, S45VN, and S35VN is so minimal. They are all so unbelievably similar. S30V should, if everything is properly heat treated, S30V should have slightly better edge retention than S35VN, and I believe even S45VN. But S45VN is as easy to machine as S35VN and as tough, but it boasts substantially better corrosion resistance than both. Are you going to notice all this? No. So what I'm saying is that we look at it and go, oh, S30V, that's an old steel. It's not cool anymore, right? But it's definitely still a premium steel. And let's keep in mind, of all the steels that our knives are coming in nowadays, still very few steels were actually originally intended for knives, right? Most blade steels have some other primary application, and then someone was like, oh, let's put it on a pocket knife. S30V was actually created for pocket knives. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I do wish it was something a little bit more modern, just to kind of tickle the senses and, oh, neat, oh, it's new, right? But S30V is fine. The edge does come down to, I mean, it's fairly thin. There's a decent taper, but there's also a reasonable amount of robustness carried out to the tip in all places, right? So it's not an open L, but it'll definitely slice better than, you know, like a Medford or something like that. The flat carries out about 70% the length of the blade, and it's got quite a bit of room to drop. There's a nice swedge up here. It's a good looking blade, pretty straightforward. The grinds are not perfect. Like, it's kind of like, oh, it's wider here, and then it's thinner down there, and there's no sharpening choil. There's a little bit of a goofy smile going on back there. I'd like to see, you know, some consistency with those. Like, I mean, I know Hogue is capable of it, because look at my Doug Ritter here. It's perfect. So it'd be nice to see that in this. Maybe this is just a bad example. The clip can be mounted for tip up, tip down, right or left-handed carry. If you are left-handed, you'll be using your index finger to deploy this. So like I said, hang on to it. But yeah, there's no flipper tab. So, you know, if you like to carry your knives tip down, go ahead. There's a lanyard hole if you want to have a lanyard. Like I said, the pocket clip, very aggressive looking, but it's nice. It'll work. And I love the fact that it's shorter. I think that just makes a lot more sense. This side of the knife is much the same as the front. It just has the pocket clip on the back. Lockout, completely solid. There is a stop pin back here, and there's a little bit of shouldering on the blade tang, so that's nice. And the centering is, I think, dead on. Yeah, there you go. No play there. I think it's pretty. Yeah, it's solid. It was just wanting to come on. The other thing that I appreciate. This is one of those, this is something I check with automatic knives. Hold the button down, right? The pivot this is all done correctly. You should be able to release this no matter how close you are to the open position. It should always have enough power to spring into the open position. It shouldn't be fighting itself to deploy. It's going to deploy. Obviously, automatic knives are not legal everywhere. If you live in an area where automatic knives are not legal, don't buy this. Also, make sure that you know your blade loss for blade length when it comes to automatic knives. In some cases, there are areas that have blade length rules for manual knives and separate blade length rules for automatic knives, whether they are out the front or out the side. It's not always the case. I live in Kansas, so I'm not constantly researching these things because they let us carry whatever we want here. But I feel for people who are subject to ridiculous knife laws around the country and around the world. So make sure that you check your local knife laws before you pick something like this up. So what do I think of this? Gosh darn it, I wish the blade, I wish the handle scales, the S30V is fine. The design of the knife is wonderful. This is a great tool. As it sits, this is a very durable, very functional, very dependable item. If you decide to buy this, you're going to be happy with it if you plan to just take it out and use it. Not much for the collector and enthusiast here. It's a pretty stritty. What does stritty mean? It's a pretty straightforward automatic knife. USA made, so that's really, really great. The firing power is definitely the most impressive part of this knife. Bam! Holy crap! That's really shockingly powerful for a knife that just is so unassuming, right? I legitimately expected about 60 to 70% of that firing power. I was not expecting it to fire so hard. So that's cool. If this were aluminum, sitting at the same price, 144 bucks, I'd say, oh my gosh, this is great. This is just perfect, right? With the polymer handles is kind of a bummer. I don't know. It's okay. I mean, it's just like the competition here. It's like the other cheaper Benchmade autos, right? But then again, you can get, you know, the Boker Kalashnikov as D2 and aluminum for like 50 bucks. Now, it has nowhere near the same, like people who are like, oh, Boker Kalashnikov's the same thing. No, the overall quality and finish of a Kalashnikov is nowhere near this. But, I mean, it is a worthy contender considering the materials, and it just, you know, it'll feel a little bit more like it's better value, right? So, I don't know. I think I would have just been absolutely blown away if we had had a newer steel on this. And I think this has actually been around for a bit, but so it's like, it's not like this just came out and I'm like, why did they decide to do this? I honestly don't know how old this knife is, but let's pretend for a second that this was aluminum and S45VN, right? Wow. Yeah, that would have been cool. At least aluminum, right? Maybe you want to charge an extra $10 or even $20 for this. It'd be an excellent side opening automatic knife. As it sits at 144, it's not bad, but there's just nothing ultra special going on here. At base, this is a good, dependable automatic knife that's made in the United States. If you go ahead and pick it up, it's going to do what you want it to do. It's going to be what you want it to be. But it's really hard for me to make a case for this over. Like, if you make this choice, you didn't make a bad choice. But is it the best choice that you can make for around 150? Like specifically for an auto? I don't know. I'd almost say bump up. Go with something that's more expensive from ProTech or Benchmade, right? There's just not a lot of reason for, you know, to sit at the, and if, you know, and there's also reasons to go less expensive, you know, and just go with a Boker Kalashnikov or something, right? Or truthfully, a freaking Kershaw launch model. I mean, the Kershaw launch line is, they're US made, aluminum, CPM 154 for around 100 bucks. So, this is cool. It's not quite there. I like it. I respect Hogue. I love telling people to shop Hogue. If not this, go check out what else Hogue has available. Maybe there's something else. They do make a lot of really good value stuff with materials that I'm, you know, definitely in favor of. So check them out. You can use the link for this guy and explore Hogue down in the description. Guys, that's going to be pretty much it. Thanks again to Mr. Garlic for sending this in for review. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.